in a year, how many cruises is too many? In the next 12 months, my wife and I are going to go on more cruises than we have ever done before, for more cruise days than we've done before. It'll include the longest cruise we've ever taken, and it'll pick up a total of 4 continents. It includes 2 trips to Alaska, and it'll include a whole host of bucket list stops. Stay tuned as I explain why we picked each of these trips, what cruise lines we're taking, and why. We're also going to give you the total cost of each trip. If you stay to the end, you can see the surprising grand total. Our goal is to help you know whether these would be good trips for you. If you're new to our channel, we are Ken and Ellen, a retired couple who are trying to make the most of our travel window. We've toured the U.S. in RVs. We're now trying to see as much of the rest of the world as we can and show you how you can do it too. So how many cruises in a year is too many? Depending on your bank account and your health, maybe 1. But assuming sufficient health and finances, here are 5 reasons why you might want to stack cruises in any given year. Reason number 1, a chance to celebrate. This year my wife and I are going to celebrate our 50th wedding anniversary. My younger sister and her husband will celebrate their 40th. They've never been on a cruise before and asked us to go with them on what they think will be their only cruise ever. We're not so sure. We are thrifty cruisers, but celebration cruises are not the time to go the penny pincher route. So we chose a balcony cabin on a cruise line that we knew we could trust, with the most complete itinerary that we could collectively afford. We did choose an early season voyage for some savings. The result? We picked a 10-day land and sea voyage to Alaska with Princess Cruise Lines, departing in late May. The cruise is from Vancouver, BC to Whittier, Alaska, followed by 2 nights in Denali National Park and ending in Fairbanks. The cost for us for this 10-day trip with balcony is $5,410. The price includes all of these things, but excludes all of these. That works out to $270 per person per day. With airfare and 3 already paid ship excursions and ancillary expenses, we expect our total bill to be somewhere between $9,000 and $10,000. Reason number 2. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Other members of our family invited us to join them in Europe for a short land vacation this summer. In planning the trip, we realized we could add a sailing on the world's last ocean liner into our plans. The Queen Mary II is a one-of-a-kind ship, and the Norwegian fjords make up a bucket list destination for us. And we were already in Europe, so we booked it. The cost for this 8-day sailing in a sheltered balcony cabin is almost identical to the cost of the 10-day Alaska trip, $5,440. That works out to about $340 per person per day. We're going to document our experience on all the cruises that are in this video, so check back with us as the year progresses. Reason number 3, to visit a bucket list destination. The Panama Canal has been on our bucket list for the better part of a decade. Some medical issues this year made us realize that we need to fit this in sooner rather than later. And what we discovered is that this trip is one of the more affordable cruises. Panama will be hot year-round, but the prime transit times are the dry season, which runs from December to April. So we booked a full transit in March of next year. Most people prefer to go through the older historic locks, but to do so requires a ship that's sometimes referred to as a Panamax ship. It's small enough to be able to go through that passage. So we booked one of those. The primary cruise lines for this passage are HAL, Norwegian, and Princess, and we chose Princess, with a balcony again so that we could watch the actual passage from our stateroom. The cruise starts in Los Angeles and it ends in Fort Lauderdale. This time it takes 16 days, with stops in several countries, including our first ever stop in South America. For 2 people, the price is $5,520, amazingly close to the cost of the other 2 trips. But since this is 16 days, the cost per day works out to be $173 per person per day. Wow, who knew? But the best is yet to come. Before I get to our last two cruises, which have the lowest cost per day of any, let me invite you to subscribe to our channel. We'll document in detail all of these cruises and let you know whether or not they lived up to their billing. It doesn't cost anything, and we look forward to having you join us on the journey. Reason number 4, to find out if a really cheap cruise will work. We live in Washington State, and for many years we've tried to figure out what would be the cheapest cruise that we could take. It would have to involve a port that we could drive to and where we could spend a night with family instead save the cost of a hotel. For us, that only option is Seattle. Beyond that, it would have to include a steeply discounted price. We found a cruise that fits all these criteria in the new Holland America Standby program. The plan is simple. The price is $49 per person per day, plus port fees and taxes, which are higher in Alaska. You pay the money up front if the ship isn't full, or if someone cancels at the last minute, you get whatever cabin is available. So what's the all-in price for this trip to Alaska? $1,610. That's for 2 people. That works out to $115 per person per day to a prime destination on a quality ship. We couldn't pass up the chance. Now that brings us to reason number 5, which I'm going to call to test the limits. The last cruise we booked in this year combines all the previous reasons into a single cruise. What better way to celebrate our anniversary than with a 42-day cruise, round trip to the Mediterranean that includes an overnight in Cinque Terre so that we can walk the Via Amore. It includes a one-in-a-lifetime bucket list destinations, Casablanca, the pyramids of Egypt, the Rock of Gibraltar. It's round trip from Florida, so there's no international airfare. It includes a double transatlantic crossing on Holland America. But let's be truthful. We couldn't afford this trip, except for one thing. This is also a standby cruise. If we're able to get on board, our all-in price for 42 days will be $6,340, or $75 a day per person. To us, that's the opportunity that we couldn't afford to pass up, so we wound up booking it, even though it takes us to a total of 80 days on the water in the course of a year. Okay, let's wrap up this whole thing. Here's the value proposition. 5 cruises that we've booked will cost in total, with the prices I've given, $24,320. If you add in all the transportation and the excursions, it's going to bring the price to something like $35,000. That's a lot, but we get a lot more. Now we could spend, for our anniversary present, we could spend $35,000 on a new car, if it's small, or on a lavish anniversary party. But which would you rather have? A shiny new piece of tin, some family pictures on the wall with pictures of smiling and possibly slightly intoxicated relatives? Or this? To see the world in 80 days, visit 4 continents and 24 cities, to capture on film the majesty of Denali and the splendor of the pyramids, all the while dining on wonderful food, enjoying the company of family and friends both old and new. To me, it seems like a small price to pay for memories that'll last a lifetime. Have I sold you yet? You don't have to do 5 cruises in a year, or even ever. But what I want you to realize is that there is a huge opportunity out there for you to see parts of the world that you long to see at a price that you can afford. Don't let that opportunity pass. If not now, when? Until next time, safe travels. Other members of our family and I invited other members of our family Other members of our family invited us to join in. Okay.